Hello, and welcome to Lesson 1 of my series, Programming with Lua for ComputerCraft. In this lesson, we're going to cover using the command line to navigate the file system inside of ComputerCraft. This is not going to be a general ComputerCraft tutorial, so for crafting recipes and the like, I will refer you to the wiki, which is linked in the description. So to get started, we must first acquire a computer. I'm going to use an advanced computer because this is going to be a tutorial lesson, so we'll just plop this down anywhere and I will show you how we get started. So first off, when you place the computer down, it will be off. If you then right click on it, it'll pull up this screen and turn on. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is type label set and give your computer a label. I'm just going to call this computer 0. And the reason you're going to want to do this is because this way, if you break the computer and pick it back up as an item, it will keep all of the data associated with that entity. If you do not have a label on your computer and you break it, then it just becomes the basic default computer item. You can see that says advanced computer. Now, if I break this and pick it up, it says computer 0. And I'll be able to place this back down as computer 0. Now, the file system inside of ComputerCraft consists of files and directories. Files go inside of directories. Directory is what you would call a folder on a Windows system. When you first open this terminal, you're going to be inside of the root directory. And by typing ls and hitting enter, it will list out all of the directories and files inside of the root directory, or whatever directory you're in. List also works. You can type clear to clear the screen, and you can type cd and the name of a directory to change to that directory. Now, if we type ls to list out the contents of the ROM directory, you can see there are 4 directories inside of ROM and 1 program, or 1 file that is not a directory. It doesn't necessarily have to be a program. On the advanced computers, the directories will show up in green. However, on the basic computers, they do not have color terminals, so everything will just be in black and white. As you can see right here where it says ROM, this is going to be the name of the current working directory that you're inside. So you can type cd ... to go back a directory. And you can go to more than one directory. If I just tab through this, you can actually see I am now in the command directory of the APIs directory of the ROM directory. And ROM is inside the root directory. Now, if I type ls, we can get a list of all of the files and directories that are inside of command. I will clear the screen again. But for the most part, you're not going to be messing with anything inside of the ROM directory. So let's go ahead and go back a couple directories. Clear the screen again, and I will show you how you can actually make your own directory. What I'm going to do now is type mkdir or mkdir, followed by the name of a directory that I want to create. So I'm going to create a users directory. Now you can see if I list out the contents, I have the ROM and the users directory. We can change into the users directory, and we will make a new user called Pazzy. You can see Pazzy is the only user, but we can easily make any other person a user by simply typing mkdir and then their name. So now you can see there's a Kyle and a Pazzy directory. Or if we cd into the PASI directory. We can make a file inside of this directory by typing edit, followed by the file name that we want to make. I'm just going to call this file1. Now we're actually inside of the file itself, inside of the built-in editor. So you can type inside this window, this is a file, hit Control to save, and then exit. You can use, if we go back into file1, so you can use the arrow keys to change what is selected down there. Then you can hit enter to do the action. Or if you want to just hit Control S, not Control plus S, but Control and then S, it will save it. And if you hit Control and then E, it will exit. Now, if we type ls to list out the contents of this directory, you can see that there is a file called file1. We can make another file called file2. Another file. Save that. List that out. Now we've got file1 and file2. You can also remove files from a directory by typing rm and the name of the file that you want to remove. Delete also works, so we can type delete file1, and if we list out the contents of the directory, you can see that all of the files have been deleted. And that cannot be undone, so you need to be really careful when deleting or removing files to make sure that you're not going to delete a file that you actually want to keep. So if we add that file1 back real fast, not going to save anything inside it, but you can see I have saved it as file1. Now you can use the CP or copy command and copy file1 to a new name. So do file2. Now you can see I have a copy of file1 saved as file2 as well. Now if we want to move a file, we can type mv and then type the name of the file that you want to move, and then the destination directory or file to which you want to move. So if we wanted to move file2 into the Kyle directory, we can type ... to go back a directory, followed by Kyle, and then the name that we want to save the file as. So we'll just go ahead and save it as file1. The name does not have to be the same. But now you can see if I hit enter and list out the contents of this directory, we have now moved file2. And if we go back to the users and cd into the Kyle directory, list out the contents there, you can see we have a file, file1, which is the copy of this file1 that we made. You can also copy directly from this directory into another directory by prefixing this the same way we did to move it. You can do it directly into the root directory by typing / and then the name, file2 or file1. You can also use the full file path without the /, so we can just go ahead and type users PASI file2. Now if we cd into PASI, and you can also use cd this way by typing ... to go up a directory, and then the directory that you want to go into from there. Now when we list this out, wait, why did that not work? Hold on, let me figure out what happened. All right, so you actually cannot do the full file path when using CP. It is going to assume that you are talking about a directory inside of this directory. So whenever you do use copy, I'm just going to go ahead and remove this users directory from Kyle, because what it did is create a users directory inside of Kyle and then put a PASI directory inside of Kyle and copy the file to that directory. So if you want to specify the full file path, you will have to use the slash. Then you should be okay to use the full file directory. That slash tells the command line that you want to start from the root directory. So now if we go back into the PASI directory, we can list out the contents and we should see that we have 2 files inside of this directory. You can also cd directly back to the root directory by just typing cd/, or you can specify the full file path that you want to move to as well by typing / if you're inside of a different directory. You don't have to type ... to go up a directory. It just can be kind of convenient if you have multiple layers of directories that you're in and you only need to go back a single directory rather than typing out, from root, users, Kyle, local, projects, however many directories. You can have directories nested as far as you want. So say you did have a directory system that was like this one. You're in projects and you want to move to a separate directory inside of temp. You could just type cd ... / different. And then you would change to the different directory inside of temp, inside of local, inside of Kyle. So the last thing you should know if you want to rename a file is you can use rename, or you can just use the move function and rename whatever file you want to a different name by simply typing the file that you want to rename and then type what you want to name it to. And now you can see file 1 was renamed to file 3. But that will be it for this first lesson. So I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot, and I will see you in lesson 2, where we will learn about variables and different variable types that you can use in the Lua programming languages.